All right. Well, hello. Thank you, Wolfgang and Mark, for
How are
joining
you?
us. Yeah,
Be here.
good for Audacy check-in. Thank you so much. They hit me up yesterday and was like, "Would you like to talk to Wolfgang and Mark for Dirty Honey?" I've been promoting your tour for the last, I don't know, month and a half. I was like, "Yeah, let's talk about this Young Guns tour that you guys are doing together, kicking off here. What, in about a week and a half? The 20th?"
It's
Yep.
coming.
Yeah, this is really near and dear to my heart because I am in the full camp with you about rock is not dead. Stop saying it. I'm passionately adamant about it, and so I love that this is kind of what drives this tour. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about you and Mark getting together to do this.
Yeah, no, we've got the same agent. We had done a couple shows last year, a couple radio gigs, radio festivals, and just that sort of, kinship developed. And then we did a show in South Carolina, and it was kind of a proof of concept for this upcoming run. And here we are. We're finally getting to do it. It's exciting.
That's very cool. Mark, what was your, thought process behind it when you were discussing it with Wolfgang?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a little difficult to find bands to go out with just because rock bands have just become so scarce. And when we saw him play in Philadelphia, it was pretty obvious that this was going to be a really cool thing to do and to take on the road and to take across the nation. And the biggest surprise was really seeing him and his band perform live, and they just really kicked ass. And it showed some optimism for the future of rock and roll.
Why is it that, in your professional opinions, because you guys are on the different side of this profession, obviously, that why isn't there enough rock bands in your professional opinion?
I think it
Personally, yeah, go ahead.
No, you first.
I just think it's a byproduct of society today and how it's so easy to just fix things on your computer, and you can fake being good at an instrument, with some simple editing in Pro Tools and stuff. It actually takes time to be really good at something, and I think people aren't, as motivated to put in the time.
And coupling that with the fact that it's not, the belle of the ball when it comes to the most popular genres available right now. So kind of coupling that together, it's kind of a losing game for people who aren't very passionate about it.
I find it to be a fast food society situation, which I think goes into what you guys are just saying in the respect of now, fast, quick, computer. It takes too long to be a garage band. It takes too long to learn your instruments, like a band like a U2 did when they picked up their instruments many, many years ago and sucked forever and then hit.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
Like any rock band. Yeah. The artwork for the tour I noticed was is pretty cool. The King. Who's the card player out of this group here?
Not me.
No?
Yeah, no, it was just a really cool design. So that, I mean, if you've noticed, I believe in whichever markets one or the other is headlining. I mean, we're playing the equal amount of time, but we're flipping on who's closing the shows. And they're able to flip it. It's either Mark or me, depending on on how you flip the card, which I think is really fun.
That was the first thing that we bonded over too when we met. Yeah. And was like, the artwork's so cool.
It's so killer.
Yeah.
I just watched the Epiphany video, Wolfgang, which is first your single that's pretty jamming up the charts right now, for one, and for two is a pretty cool video, black and white mostly, of you guys performing and doing, I guess, what at the core of your is the core of you. The song itself is also the core of Wolfgang, Mammoth WVH.
Yeah, to me, it really represents the sound. Like if you're gonna say like, hey, what does Mammoth sound like? You play that song. I think that's the kind of the center of the musical sound that the band is. It can go to the left and get a little lighter and poppier, but it could also go to the right and get a little bit heavier. And so yeah, I think it's a great starting off point. So it's fun to see.
I was surprised when I read who your inspirations were, which was Dave Grohl and Trent Reznor. And Nine Inch Nails. I was like, oh, we know who your dad is. So I was surprised when I read that. I was like, oh wow, that's
I guess that's cool. Inherent. I don't really bring it up.
That's its soul thing, right? That's a soul thing. I got you. But tell us about how Nine Inch Nails and Dave Grohl, because that was new to me. I read that, I was like, oh, that's cool.
I think the
I like
concept of just them as musicians and what they've accomplished with their bands in terms of it kind of being the brainchild of them and then growing outward from them is where I hope Mammoth to go. I really like how Dave Grohl started the first Foo Fighters album. It was just him. You know, I think maybe a couple tracks were his friend playing bass on it or something. And same with Nine Inch Nails. Like he started that himself and it just kind of grew. And in the studio, it's very much his thing. And then live, he has a live band to help realize that material. And I don't know, those two I really hold in high regard and how I want to pursue my career.
the seed, they watered it, they grew into a plant. Yeah, I liked it too. I remember hearing about Nine Inch Nails and having it be that one guy, picturing him in a basement in New Orleans, you know, and I always thought that was really cool. So I that resonated with me when I read that about you. Mark, how about you? Like Dirty Honey and your inspirations and, you know, that are surprising, possibly.
The surprising ones, probably like the 90s grunge bands would be the more surprising influences, you know, the Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden for sure. I mean, I'm a huge Chris Cornell fan. And I don't know if that's as obvious when you listen to the music that's a little bit more bluesy, you know. There's definitely a lot of like AC/DC, Aerosmith, Guns N' Roses, Black Rose in there, but
Yeah.
you know, there's definitely a little more grunge in the music than I think some people realize.
How does Chris Cornell inspire you outside of just the obvious with his voice? His voice.
Yeah,
Was
I mean, his
ridiculous.
voice is
come on.
crazy.
Yeah.
I really got inspired by him when I heard the acoustic live record for the first time, and I was just like so blown away by the melodies and everything being stripped down and just hearing his voice front and center, because it's kind of it's obviously great, but in the Soundgarden stuff specifically, it's really there's a lot of really heavy, powerful riffs, and the music is intense, and it kind of floats by without noticing it so much. And then when he strips it back, it's this beautiful instrument that really gets brought to the forefront. So, and his lyrics are great. He's obviously got some dark stuff he sings about, which I can get dark at times too, which some people may not know so much, but it's yeah, he was one of the great artists of all time. So
What's the songwriting process for you? Do you wake up in the middle of the night and go, "Ugh," or
yeah, there's a lot of that. You know, it just depends. I mean, I was just saying, like, the new single Another Last Time happened right here. I was just like tuned to open G, and it all came out in one quick 10-minute session. And then other times it's an endless slog through the Shawshank Redemption tunnel to find the right lyrics and melodies, you know. It just can happen any sort of way.
Wolfgang, you with songwriting process, is it fast? You know, do you sit down to do it, or is
I
it just
never
something that
really sit down like, oh, it's time to be creative. Like it just
Yeah.
kind of always just happens, and you record whatever dumb riff you come up with at the time, and hopefully it evolves into something interesting. Or sometimes, you know, for Epiphany as an example, that was the demo title because I came up with it while I was doing dishes in my kitchen, and the idea just felt so inspirational that rather than recording the idea on my phone really quick, I went right upstairs and made a Logic demo. So it's just, you know, it's different. You can't really plan creativity, or at least I can.
No, yeah. Oh, I mean, sometimes I think about my own creativity, and I'll be in the line at the grocery store, and it'll come up, you know, and I'll be, oh, okay, make sure you write that down when you get into your into the car or whatever, you know. What is the most important thing outside of music that your father taught you?
If you know, to keep the people you trust close to you and love them as hard as you can, because he had the biggest heart, and so I've always admired that. And that.
How about you, Mark?
What's the
most important thing your parents, your father, your mother, most important people?
It's just probably to treat people with respect, especially coming from my dad. Honestly, he's a good dude and a very lighthearted type guy, but you know, he always treats people well, and really all of my parents love to laugh and enjoy life to the fullest, and that's that's what I try and do is live a full life, one that should be remembered.
Thank you so much for spending some time with us on the Audacy check-in. Look forward to seeing you. I'll see you in Sacramento on the 25th, or 25th. Yes. But thank you so much.
Looking
Thank you.
forward to it. Take care.
Bye, guys.